Well, would you look at that? A chance to glaze my glorious, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious cake. Ryuishigori. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact. Hakari. Oh, wait. The fun fact before the fun fact. I like to yap a lot, and this is a 15-minute and 47-second video. And we're talking about Hakari and my glorious legendary Juicy King Ryuishigori and Yuta. Oh lord, we're gonna be here for a minute. So please check out the link to the original video. It'll be in the description down below, along with the link to Lumiere's channel. He's a fantastic JJK content creator, covers a whole variety of JJK topics from versus battles, character discussions, switched versions like this one right here. There's so many different things, so please go check them out. It'll be linked in the description down below. But back to the other fun fact. Hakari and Yuta switching colonies is actually a pretty common thing. In fact, I'd say swapping colonies is one of the more popular, just like general things that we JJK creators do. I mean, I haven't done it yet. Late, but I haven't hit that just yet, mainly because I do want to like go extra in depth with stuff like that, because essentially it is a fancy versus battle, so I want to like put the whole versus battle flair on it, so I haven't done it myself just yet. But with that being the case, Hakari and Yuta are commonly switched because they are the two heavy hitters. Gojo says they're relative, Yuta says Hakari's stronger than him. Bada bang, bada boom, big man Hakari in the room, and thusly it's always pretty contentious. Typically, at least in some of the ones I've watched so far, it seems like everyone believes Yuta does fine, because like, especially considering what's confirmed about like the Shinjuku version of Yuta versus the original version of Yuta. The only issue that I've seen people bring up that Yuta runs into, specifically when fighting Kashimo, because Charles is a joke. Like, that's the thing. Charles is a joke round that only exists so Hakari can get Jackpot before he fights Kashimo. But the only issue I've seen for the people who want to say Yuta may lose his colony is very specifically, in this hypothetical scenario, he doesn't have sky manipulation, he doesn't have Jacob's ladder, he doesn't have anything. And thusly, the only thing he has is cursed speech. That's the only thing he's got walking into the Tokyo 2 colony that Hakari was in. And thusly, people assume he would have a whole lot of trouble against Kashimo, because Kashimo is actually relatively fast, and if he ever gets a bolt off, unlike Hakari, who could basically instantly regenerate that limb, Yuta's going to struggle a little bit, especially if the bolt does go towards his head. Yuta will actually die. The only reason I'm still thinking that Yuta kind of clutches up is because he still has a domain, and even the sure hit is just cursed speech, and all the swords are just cursed speech. Yeah, Kashimo's going to lose the domain, which Yuta would have at this point. We know that. We see him use it in Sendai. And Rika. Unlike in the Sendai colony, where Rika was like forced to divert her attention away from Yuta, and Uro and Yuta had a 1v1, and Rika and Ryu had a 1v1, it's just Kashimo. So if we were doing just Yuta versus Kashimo, then I think Kashimo wins. But since we're not doing that, because Yuta's always running a 2v1, I don't see Kashimo breaking through Rika. And any damage he does will be instantly regenerated by Rika. And notably, I could see Rika even holding Kashimo down, because it's only base Kashimo. If unmanifested Rika is able to throw around full body Heian era Sukuna, I think she's more than capable of throwing around Kashimo and possibly even intercepting and blocking any of the bolts. Or even say Yuta does get hit by a bolt in like the arm and he loses the arm while he's and regenerating that arm. Rika's gonna pop out and be like, "What on earth did you do to my boy?" And she's gonna attack him like crazy. So like she's gonna do crazy numbers to Kashimo, who I just don't think has a way to put down Rika. Panda sucks. That's why he got put down by a bolt. But Rika's basically a soft Hakari in terms of like regeneration speed. And unmanifested Rika's scaling really ain't that bad, honestly. So I think she alone could kind of give Kashimo the work. Yuta probably doesn't even have to fight him. So I think Yuta does easily clear Tokyo. I forget if it's Tokyo 2. I think it's Tokyo 2, because I think Yuji and Megami are Tokyo 1, or vice versa. But that being the case, I think Yuta kind of clears. Most people say that anyway. Like, even the people who do argue for Kashimo's bolts, like, once you bring in Rika, it kind of gets all messy, because it's a 2v1. It's a 2v1 between extremely powerful characters. Like, come on now. Kashimo, especially considering Kashimo never would ever use his cursed technique at that point. The only way you could really argue he even has a win con on Yuta, especially any Yuta post-Sendai, yeah, he's not. He's gonna lose. And Yuta may actually, I mean, depends on when the rule gets added, but he may actually end up killing Kashimo. And obviously he watches Charles. No one is delusional enough to think that even a base Yuta blindfolded, missing 2 hands, and not having a sword would lose to Charles. Come on, Charles can't even do enough damage to him. For the other scenario, though, I've seen a lot more debate around Hakari running Sendai. And honestly, I agree. And you may be like, whoa, Pencil Man, here you come with your anti-Hakari bias. And to that I say, yes. But not really. Mainly because I think Sendai is like a really bad matchup for Hakari. Remember, he beat Kashimo by dragging him into the water while moving his domain. That was it. Kashimo would have kept fighting for a while and eventually figured out the ripping the arm strat before he was put underwater. Eventually. Kashimo, he would have figured that out. What real win con does Hakari have against... I mean, Kurushi can probably just beat to death. Like unironically, obviously, if base Yuta is able to do crazy damage, even Hakari without a blade and his regular punches should probably be able to beat Kurushi to death eventually. It's just that Kurushi would be able to consistently feed off of him, and all his cockroaches would be able to consistently feed off of Hakari, and Kurushi would be really annoying for Hakari to hit, but Hakari is pretty fast, so I think he could, maybe not blitz, but at least outpace and Kurushi until he dies. But his main issues are Uro and Ryu. What on earth does Hakari do if Uro just straight flies up? He can jump pretty high. He ain't jumping that high, and if he does have to jump to try and engage with her, sky manipulation. Sky manipulation. Sky manipulation. And of course, I'm not going to say Uro's going to do any damage. It literally is a forever battle. The only thing Uro could do is, wait out Jackpot, and then try and sky manipulation his hands off, or sky manipulation his head in between. But Uro ain't even the real issue. The real issue for Hakari is how on earth is he putting down Ryu? Now, don't get me wrong. No, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hakari's a pillow puncher. A pillow puncher. And sure, he's presumably pretty bulky in Jackpot, but his AP just ain't all that. Look at the Arame fight, look at the Kashimo fight. The only two fights we have for Jackpot Hakari, he just doesn't do that much damage. And of course, Ryu doesn't have RCT, so he'd be worn down eventually. But remember, this is the same guy who can eat hits from fully manifested Rika and slobber knock her back hard enough. His hits are enough that fully manifested Rika can't even handle them. And Yuta gets sent flying by regular hits and can never win a combat exchange. And of course, I'm in the camp that Hakari, just based on lore and based on Yuta's statement and based on the relativity stated by Gojo, I think Hakari is stronger than Yuta, but I don't think he's strong enough to do any serious damage to Ryu. Ryu could arguably literally stand there and just... Ow. Okay. Dude, you're getting kind of annoying. And then a sucker punch Hakari. Send him flying and just loop that. That's the thing. For Sendai Hakari, the main issue he has is I don't think he can do enough serious damage to his fellow combatants. Remember, Uro face-tanked a Granite Blast, a weakened one post-domain, but still, she face-tanked a Granite Blast, and face-tanked a double wombo combo while her speech stalled by fully manifested Rika and Gauntlet amped Yuta. Obviously, we don't know what the Gauntlet app does, but Yuta and Rika double-teamed Uro, and she was still just fine in the fight. I don't think Hakari's done anything to prove he even has the output to put down Uro. Not to talk of Ryu, the bulkiest character in the verse, outside of possibly Gojo and Tsuka. So, I don't know. I think the only way you could argue for Hakari is that he infinitely domain loops him. He just goes and goes and goes and goes. Especially considering his domain in the original translations of the Tokyo fight with Kashimo, it seems to be real good in tug of wars. I don't even think counter domaining is a good option for Uro and Ryu. They would probably counter domain instantaneously because they're like, uh-oh, he's domaining. And I guess the one thing that could actually end up saving them and killing Hakari is if Kuro comes in and breaks the three-way domain clash like he did before. Unless Hakari gets an instant Jackpot, because his domain is good in tug of wars, even a possible three-way tug of war, then maybe he gets the instant Jackpot and keeps going, and then he eventually beats a fatigued Ryu and a fatigued Uro who have burnt a bunch of cursed energy on domain expansion. But it could be real bad, where he has that slight delay in getting Jackpot, and the new Kuro comes in, shatters the barrier, and then it's a base Hakari who can take damage from Charles. Base Hakari who can take damage from Charles against the guy with the highest output in history and a girl with spatial neck or spatial manipulation. And even if you want to say that it goes exactly the same as the original timeline, and somehow Kuro insta dies and Uro gets taken out of the fight, and then it's a base Hakari and Curse Technique Burnout against Ryu, whose output does drop slightly when he's post-domain, as he notes with the Uro Blast that she survived. But I don't think his output's going to drop lower than Charles. I think he then punches Hakari's head off. So Hakari may genuinely lose if the fight goes anywhere similar to the original timeline, or Hakari wins after fighting for 2 hours. Because Ryu and Uro just get tired. They may leave him alone. They may be like, alright, you're annoying and genuinely immortal, and I don't feel like fighting you anymore. Deuce. That's the thing. Well, I'm confident in saying that Yuta kind of takes Kashimo for a walk with Rika there. I can't really say the same for Hakari. Unfortunately, he does not have the AP for me to be like, yeah, Hakari's got this. I'm like, I can't sit here and lie to you like that. That would just be me blatantly lying, because Hakari just hasn't shown the AP feats. He's able to do damage. Obviously, we saw Urume had to use RCT to some degree, but Kashimo took basically no damage. Kashimo is known to be less durable than Ryu. Most characters in the series are less durable than Ryu. Hakari can literally do no damage. None at all. So it's really unfortunate. But enough of my incessant yapping. We're 10 minutes deep. Let's actually hop into the Vigimo itself. What if Hakari and Yuta switch colonies? Blah!
We drop back into the culling games, focused on 2 players, Yuta and...
I love his editing style. I love his editing. Man, I'm sorry. Lumiere's editing style is so good. Sorry, I'm glazing immediately. Let's see.
Hakari. Yuta is about to sneak up on Drew. Hakari, on the other hand, is in the Ferris wheel with Charles. Suddenly, the screen goes black, and we hear a clap. Hakari...
Yo, that's... It's Toto accidentally pressing practicing his technique, and he just goes for the 2 highest powers he can sense. He's like, how big is my range now? Claps his hand, suddenly Hakari gonna switch. And he's like, huh, I don't know if that did anything, because I didn't feel anything. I just locked on the 2 largest curse energy amounts, but they didn't seem to switch too well. Alright, and he just leaves it alone. And that's why they end up in different places. Let's see, oh, we're probably not using the Shinjuku variations. These are just like the most, actually, yeah, these are just some of the most iconic images of the character, so I get why Lumiere is using those. Let's see.
Hakari and Yuta have now switched places. Hakari is now behind Drew, and Yuta is now sitting in a Ferris wheel with an angry Charles. The first person we'll be focusing on in this scenario is Hakari.
Oh no! I mean, maybe he wants to go. Well, it really depends. Here's the thing. Off Lumiere's takes previously. That's the thing. He hasn't. No, because I remember I reacted to his Yuji versus Hakari video. And at least the way he talked about Hakari in there, it was not very favorable. So I think he may end up leaning on my side, where he's like, he's kind of a pillow, but like, and here's the thing, right? Let me take a sip real quick. Here's the thing. Not Ben Grimm, me. The thing is, it's not like I want Hakari to be a pillow puncher. It's not like the narrative implies that it's not like the narrative doesn't imply that he's more than a pillow puncher. It's just like, it's why I called him the most controversial or most diametrically opposed character in JJK. The narrative says he's relative to Yuta. We see Yuta, who is confirmed to have no physical stat amps, punch Sukuna's belly mouth and actually make him bleed. We see Hakari, and that, by the way, that was a base, no domain Yuta that punched Sukuna's belly and made him bleed. We see Hakari grab Arame by the face while in Jackpot and throw them through a building, and they take no damage. We see Hakari punch Kashimo halfway across the shipping yard, and he takes basically no damage. And he doesn't even have RCT. It's like, I don't know. That's one of the cases in JJK where the statements and the feats just don't line up. Unless you want to tell me that Arame is bulkier than true body hand form Sukuna, and you could argue, oh, well, Sukuna was nerfed. But he wasn't that nerfed. This is the same guy who 2 chapters later will go into Blitz Maki and do extreme damage to her with a black fire. Like, clearly, he ain't that nerfed. So, what? What? Like, I'm sorry, Hakari, I can't buy it, Buckaroo. I just don't see your vision. I just do not see your vision, especially in Sendai, where the bulkiest character in the series possibly lies in Ryu, and a sleeper bulky character in Uro both lie. And who both, Uro kind of hard counters Hakari just because of spatial manipulation or sky manipulation, and Ryu just hard counters Hakari by being bulky. It's one of the rare cases in JJK where your durability actually matters, because Hakari has no hacks other than his immortality, which would just get boring after a while. But let's see what Lumiere has to say. I think he's going to say Hakari loses. But we'll see, because Lumiere is, one thing I'll admit, Lumiere is very, very good. He's good at spitting a narrative, and I'm interested to see how he, because presumably he's going to use Druve as the equivalent to Charles here, and Druve will be the key for Hakari getting Jackpot, and then he's going to run into Kuro, and he's probably going to loop Jackpot on Kuro again, and then he's going to run into Uro. Like, he's probably just going to follow the same narrative sequence, but I'm interested to see how he writes it for Hakari. So let's see.
He'd continue on like Yuta, just knocking out Drew, putting that guy out of commission. Then he'll start seeing all of the regular people that are stuck in the barrier. As he's trying to figure out what's going on around him, he notices the wave of cockroaches rushing towards a civilian, and it just completely devours the civilian. The swarm rushes Hakari, and Hakari blocks for a bit, like Yuta, but since it's hidden his arms, he takes a more defensive approach, dodging and running instead of blocking the swarm. While he's avoiding the swarm, he finds the cockroach cockroach. And before the cockroach can even pull out his sword or activate anything, Hakari hits his classic move and pops domain.
Oh, okay, so he's dodging in base. Okay, shouts to some base Hakari upscale then. I really think base Hakari would struggle to dodge the initial swarm. I was assuming he'd hit Jackpot and Druve, but no, he's gonna hit the Jackpot and Kuro first. Alright, interesting choice, let's see.
They exchange a few blows, and Hakari still hasn't hit Jackpot. Kuro is able to land cursed insect eggs on Hakari from his cursed tool, and they're just going at him. At this point, Hakari is just getting devoured, and since he doesn't know reverse curse technique outside of hitting Jackpot, Hakari is essentially dying at the hands of all of the insects going at Hakari. But this is a guy that rivals Yuta, and if you're ever in doubt of who would win, always bet on Hakari. As Hakari is on the verge of losing, like we've seen him before against Charles and Kashimo, Hakari hits Jackpot. Okay. Instinctively, his body heals completely, and by instinct of his body just having unlimited curse energy and running reverse curse technique automatically, he's able to replicate Yuta's way of outputting positive energy to finish off.
Honestly, what I would prefer, I mean, outputting it is one thing. I would have, if I was like writing a way for Hakari to beat Kuro in Jackpot, since we've never seen him, even if it is instinctively, we've never seen him output RCT reflexively. It'd be cool if he could. It could be an attack. Well, actually, no, it's healing energy, so probably wouldn't. I would have literally had it so that Kuro goes to bite into Hakari and then explodes. Like, due to the surge of curse energy automatically restoring Hakari's body, he doesn't even output it. Like, his body just, Kuro bites into his shoulder and then just detonates because of the overflowing amount of positive energy that comes in to heal Hakari's wound. Letting him output RCT doesn't really change all too much, so I'm still fine with the narrative choice. I think, well, you definitely could make an argument because Kuro's actually kind of, he's a sleeper pig. He's actually kind of dumb crazy for how he suppressed and no Rika, but still how he was handling the base Yuta. Like, no, that's not nothing to sleep on. But yeah, obviously, no one, unless you're me, someone who is arguably categorically insane, you aren't coming to see Hakari lose to Kuro. You're here for Ryu. You're here for Uro. Most people are just here for Ryu. I feel bad for Uro. I feel like she got swept under the rug massively in the grand scaling scheme. And it's because like her feats just aren't the best. But still, she has a really good technique. Has really neat design, really cool backstory. Like there are things that Uro has that I feel like she just kind of gets overlooked because Ryu's the main man of Sendai. In fact, he gets the volume cover, which I do think is unfortunate. I think, as much as I love Ryu, I do think Uro would have had a much more interesting volume cover. Like, imagine her using thin icebreaker on the volume cover and it's just shattered glass and like reflects all the different parts of the hair. Like, it would have been a lot cooler than Ryu's. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I love Ryu, so I'll take a Ryu cover whenever I can get it. We'll see.
Kuro, although he doesn't know how to do it, his body was in danger, and in Jackpot, Hakari instinctively runs reverse curse technique to protect himself. In turn, his body outputted positive energy to save him. As he does this, Ryu and Uro notice Hakari is extremely strong, and they just start launching attacks from afar. Ryu charges up a big blast, and Uro does the thin icebreaker. Hakari just starts charging at them, and is just able to take the attacks because he's just healing himself from any damage. The first one to receive mayhem from Hakari is Uro. Hakari is just grabbing stuff, mashing them against Uro's body. Some of them are hidden, some of them are getting warped, but she's clearly getting overwhelmed. But Ryu interjects with a granite blast. Uro gets temporarily knocked out. Hakari and
am I crazy? Man, I think Uro will put up a better fight. I think Uro will put up a way better fight than that. I know Hakari's fast and overwhelming in a whole bunch, but like, we see when Uro gets pressured, she just flies into the sky, and Hakari can't chase her. So like she abuses the fact that she's one of like the 6 characters in JJK that can actually use the sky to their advantage. Who are the 6 I just said? Sukuna, Maki, Toji, Gojo, Uro, and Yuta. Because we even see Yuta, once he gets sky manipulation, that man starts spamming that bad boy. I think those are the 6, and then obviously like Rika can too because she flies. But I don't know. Like Uro's deceptively bulky, Lumiere. I don't think, like, and I do say deceptively, and I do get that. Like, on a common read, you're like, oh, she must be fodder. She got diffed, and she got her arm bit off by a Rika. But, like, she eats hits from fully manifested Rika giving her wholesale backshots. That's crazy. And, like, obviously, Yuta and Hakari have to be some degree relative. That's what Gojo says. But that's the thing. Even Yuta wasn't really able to overwhelm Uro. And that was when he was in a 2v1. Well, she was overwhelmed when she got cursed speech hacks. That's the thing. Hakari can't do anything to hold down Uro or paralyze Uro. There's not actually much stuff in Sendai that Hakari could grab like there was in the Tokyo Colony with all those crates around. It's like, it'd just be punching and kicking. And I don't know. I think Earl can if not very easily, react to punching and kicking, at least enough to get away from it. And notably, even when she's in the middle of a battle, we see that she's able to react to Ryu's large-scale Granite Blast coming at her. So I think we're kind of downplaying Earl a little bit. I mean, Hakari Glaze is Hakari Glaze. Oh, it's fine. But, like, I don't know. But see, that makes me wonder. If he's like, oh, Earl gets knocked out by being overwhelmed by Hakari, is he going to say Ryu gets overwhelmed too? How? Well, once again, I don't know. Ryu's way too bulky for this. I don't, but we'll see.
Emerges from the smoke of Ryu's blast, perfectly intact, fully healed, but his timer is already running low. Hakari rushes Ryu and starts throwing hands. Hakari is winning the exchanges. Since we know he was able to keep up with Kashimo, who's clearly a martial artist, Ryu is getting outclassed, but Hakari's timer runs out.
But he's not, But here's the thing, right? If Kashimo's a martial artist, Ryu's a martial artist. We see him and Yuta go hand for hand, band for band. And two, Ryu's dumb, stupid, bulky, dog. Like, dumb, stupid, bulky. Like, stupid, bulky, dog. Yuta couldn't do any damage to him with physical hits. He had to hit him with spatial Duranag. And, like, here's the thing. Unironically, Kashimo never actually gets a strongest of the Edo statement. In fact, Gege Versus throws a caveat in there where he just never fought Ryu. Because he was older, and Ryu was younger, and they were on completely different sides of Japan. Or, like, in completely different, not periods, but completely different, what is it called? Prefectures. They were just in completely different locations. So they never actually ended up fighting. But, like, the one thing you can't say is that Kashimo's more durable than Ryu. You can't say that. You also really can't say that he hits harder than Ryu either. And remember, Kashimo was already doing damage to Jackpot Hakari. He was knocking him around, he was hitting him. He was going pretty darn relative, band for band, until Hakari got that curse energy bonus towards the end of the rounds. So, to say that Ryu's getting overwhelmed, and of course now we're small. Hi, we're small now, because this is just what my camera does occasionally. Why? I can't tell you. But, in fact, do I need to rise up? And oh, nope, I can't rise any higher. I guess I just gotta fix my posture. Ugh! But, that's my big thing. I think it's ludicrous to say Hakari overpowers Ryu. Man, because Ryu shouldn't take any damage. If Kashimo was able to take a whole bunch of Jackpot Hakari's hits, and he's weaker than Ryu, and has less output than Ryu, and is less durable than Ryu, the only hypothetical argument you have for base Kashimo over Ryu is the Bolt, because it may be Duraneg, and his speed advantage. Maybe. I can't really see Hakari overwhelming Ryu, even in Jackpot. Because he just doesn't do damage. Like, he does not do enough damage. He could not harm Ryu. Maybe not, he would harm him. But remember how Kashimo walked out. Remember, Kashimo was an RCT. Remember how Kashimo walked out of the Hakari fight with, like, a scratch on his cheek and, like, a slightly bloody lip? Ryu's walking out with no damage. Hakari's, once again, he's a tickle monster. He's a pillow. You know what? For my Marvel Rivals players out there, because I've been obsessed with Marvel Rivals. I have nearly 100 hours in that game already. I'm gonna start streaming it as soon as I can. But with it being the case, Hakari is Captain America, dog. He is the cold hard case of Captain America or Venom. Well, actually, no, Venom's not a tickle monster. Venom's not gonna kill you. But unless you have like a Thor boosted Cap, he's running in, he's tickling you, and he's leaving. And he's running in, he's tickling you, and he's leaving. He's running in, he's tickling you, and he's leaving. Like that's it. That's all he's doing. And while that can be effective, not against Ryu. Not against Ryu. That's like saying, oh yeah, Cap's gonna win a 1v1 against a healer pocketed Strange. No, he's not! And I don't know, I feel the same thing. Except obviously Ryu isn't healer pocketed. His stats are just that high. But I don't know, it looks like Lumiere is giving Hakari the way he was talking about Hakari in that Yuji video, calling him fodder, calling him booty meat, calling him butt. Okay, he wasn't doing all that. That was a little bit of projection for me. I call Hakari booty meat, garbage, and butt. But I keep saying butt. Oh, I need a better sense of humor. But that being aside, I cannot see Hakari overwhelming Ryu. But let's see. He's probably going to say both domain. Hakari's domain wins the tug of war. He gets Jackpot again. Ryu's weaker. Hakari wins. Or maybe, once again, maybe he'll go with the scenario I mentioned earlier. Curl pops up again, shatters it. Or maybe Earl pops up again, shatters the barrier, and then it's base Jackpot. Let's see. I don't know. The way he's having Hakari overwhelm Ryu, and the way Earl was basically a non-factor, despite her having like one of the best matchups against Hakari in the series, stat-wise and technique-wise. I think he's just gonna say Hakari wins. Alright, let's see.
Out as Ryu charged a blast. Hakari is hit pretty hard by this blast. Ryu is confident he has gotten the best of Hakari. Hakari is still stunned and recovering from the blast, but quickly gets on his feet and looks ready to do something. Ryu is skeptical and doesn't want to risk dragging the fight. He intends on ending it here. He goes to open domain, but what he didn't expect is Hakari's ability to open his domain so quickly and having.
So see, my thing is here, what did Ryu hit? Because if you want to look me in my eyes, hold on, let me get nice and close since I zoomed out. If you want to look me in my eyes, I know, see, the thing is the mic is like way out of direction, but here, if you want to look me in my eyes and tell me, that guy with the pencil, that base Hakari is eating any sort of hit from Ryu's Granite Blast, which hasn't been nerfed by post-domain fatigue, and he hasn't taken too much damage in this first interaction. He lost. If it hit his hand, that hand's gone. He can't heal it. He can't domain. If it hit his arm, that arm's gone. Remember, Yuta was able to palm a Granite Blast, but I don't think I need to sit here and tell you that base Yuta is infinitely more bulky than base Hakari. Like, what? Remember, base Hakari is the same guy who took damage from Charles. Charles. Oh no, Charles. He took damage from Charlie. That's who he took damage from. You mean to tell me a Granite Blast from Ryu doesn't immediately incapacitate Hakari? The only way it doesn't is if he blew Hakari's leg off, and then he domains. But considering where Ryu typically aims, which is either at the face, the arm, or the hand, or typically characters go to block with their hands, or torso, Hakari should be dead. But we'll let it slide. I don't know. I'm not cool with this level of Hakari glaze, mainly because I'm a Ryu rider. I'll admit. I'm nowhere near as much of a Hakari hype beast as I am a Ryu rider, or even an Uro uptaker, or even a Yuta yucker, or a Rika revolutionary. Like, I'm not in that same camp. I think saying base Hakari eats anything and survives a Granite Blast. A Granite Blast? What feats? What feats the base Hakari? The only way, but he's not even making this argument, or the only way I could give it is be like, well, you know, Hakari in base apparently did fight Urame for the entire Kashimo versus Sugata fight. So maybe base Hakari's durability is slept on. I don't know. But that he's not making that argument, dog. No one's making that argument. Like, that was just blocking. Well, I mean, scaling is scaling. But I think it's absurd. But let's see. He's going for the double domain. Let's see if the reborn Kuro crushes it, or crashes it, or if Uro crashes it, or if he just gets domain off, hits Jackpot instantly and wins. This would only be a second Jackpot. But still, let's see.
Such an advantage over domain fights. Ryu is quickly beat out by his domain. We know that even milliseconds make all the difference in a domain battle. Kuro comes back in tangent with Uro to disrupt the domain, because since it's harder to use her curse technique after domain expansion, they think it'll give them the best chances to win. What they don't know is, Hakari is that guy. By the time they get to Hakari's domain, it has already dispelled, because Hakari has hit Jackpot right away. But Ryu...
Yeah, okay. Alright. Man, Lumiere. Man, Lumiere. Fine. I mean, always bet on Hakari, but like... Oh, man, I should have known someone was going to be up when he said Hakari learned to spontaneously release RCT. Like, man, and I know Hakari riders, Hakari hype beasts. I've met Kinji Creamers, bro. I've met them. Man, but they would spit to say it like this. Well, maybe Lumiere, maybe I judged you too harshly on that Hakari versus Yuji video. I thought you were one of us. I thought you were a anti-Hakari, but no. Full scale, he instantly beats Ryu in domain. He instantly gets Jackpot on his second Jackpot of the day, I guess. And he, whatchamacallit, Uro and Kuro don't get there in time, and then Jackpot Hakari comes in. And let me guess, Jackpot Hakari just steamrolls everybody, because Ryu's now in Curse Technique Burnout, and in Domain Fatigue, he just wasted a whole bunch of Curse Energy on nothing. Uro's already heavily battle damaged. She took a hit from a Granite Blast, and was already getting beat up by Hakari, and Kuro's just gonna get one shot again, because this Hakari can release RCT. So Hakari just wins. I'm guessing. Why is this video so long, then? This video is 15 minutes and 47 seconds. If he's about to insta-solo the Colony, which is what it looks like, where are these last 12 minutes going from? Let's see.
Ryu also doesn't get affected by that domain rule, because he can use the same output without a curse technique. Kuro...
Maybe. Once again, he does question how Uro survived his But then again, maybe Uro's just that bulky. But he does question how Uro survived his Granite Blast. He then assumes, oh, maybe it was weaker. But then again, the narrator says that Ryu's output doesn't drop post-domain. So I guess we should take the narrator over Ryu's word, because it's like a transcendent, like, information drop versus a character. So that's the thing. Uro's just that bulky. She does not get overwhelmed by Jackpot Hakari. No. Well, let's see.
And Uro didn't expect this. They get hit point blank range by Ryu's blast, Kuro being eradicated and Uro being knocked out of the fight, but still alive. Ryu was already messed up by Hakari, and now he has to deal with another round of Jackpot of Hakari.
But see, that's so... And once again, I called it right at the start. I mentioned in I glaze Lumiere for this, and we'll still glaze Lumiere for this. In all the videos where he spins narratives, I do like the narratives he spins. But he didn't even offer any scaling. I think the only scaling he did was he was able to keep with Kashimo, so he must be able to slam Ryu. But like that does not correlate. That does not correlate. Because like at least from what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. It's basically part of the Pencil legacy, gosh darn it. I've made mistakes before, I will make mistakes again. But like what does am I missing something? Relativity to Yuta? Like, okay. What does that do against Ryu? Ryu took no damage from Yuta until he pulled out spatial manipulation durability negation. Relative to Yuta, so he slams Uro? You mean the same Uro who took a double team wombo combo from a full power Yuta and fully manifested Rika, giving her front shots and back shots at the same time? That Uro? It'll be Jackpot Hakari who barely did any damage to Kashimo? That's what's gonna instantly overwhelm and just beat down Uro. Okay. Hakari can spontaneously release, but you know, I can excuse the spontaneously releasing RCT. Once again, on a narrative level, I get wanting to have Hakari win. Because like, it's Hakari. He's a major character. Saying Hakari loses, it just sounds sad. It sounds mean. But like, at least from the scaling the street has given us, especially at this point what we're referencing, there's nothing you give Hakari. Even by EOS. Like, there's nothing you can give Hakari that says he even damages Ryu. With how poor his damage feats are on Urame and Kashimo both, nothing to say he damages Ryu, who's bulkier than both of those characters. Even Uro. Especially if we take that narrative statement at face value, she lived a Granite Blast. After getting wombo combat or Yuta and Rika. I can't let it slide. I'm gonna have to let it slide because I need the narrative in me. I already gave you my thoughts. I think Hakari loses just for a variety of factors. I think he just doesn't have the AP. Or he wins in a 20-year battle of attrition, but this is the more compelling story, and it fits more of, and that's the thing I'll give Lumiere. It fits more of the narrative that Hakari has. Honestly, if he were to do this in the main narrative, then I think that would fit all of his hype of being relative to Yuta a lot more than his actual feats do. So like, on a narrative level, I'm giving it to Lumiere, but as you can tell by my agony, my pain, and of course I'm heavily biased. I'm a Ryu rider. I love Ryu way more than I love Hakari. But I think, do you guys understand when I say, like, from a scaling perspective, from what we actually know of the characters involved here, it doesn't really make any sense, like, at all. Whether it be the spontaneous RCT for Kuro, whether it be the just dominating, overwhelming Uro who has a perfect matchup against someone like Hakari, whether it be the matchup against Ryu where Hakari literally has no feats to argue that he could even damage Ryu. Like, do y'all feel me? Like this is the same Ryu who face tanked the Sukuna trying to kill him. A 15-finger or 16-finger Megana trying to dismantle him. He just ate that. 3 slashes on his torso, but he was mostly fine. To the point where Sukuna had to immediately speed blitz and cleave him. You want me to tell me Hakari can do damage? Let me stop. Let's let the narrative play out. And I really want to see why the back half of this video is so long. Let's see.
Ryu just beating him up and being unkillable. And now that no one else can intervene, Ryu just gets beaten into submission. Even though Ryu still wasn't full, in a weird way, he felt satisfied because he knew he still gave his best dish. And so did Hakari. Ryu is bummed out after losing, but Hakari gives him some words of inspiration. Afterwards, there is a little bit of awkward silence, and then Hakari ends up explaining to him he needs points. Ryu and Uro end up transferring their points to Hakari. Now, cut back to where Yuta left off.
Yeah. I don't want to repeat myself. I think that whole scenario is whack. It's a narrative. It's a nice narrative. Once again, if we're trying to follow the main plot as close as possible. And like, that's the thing. If he said all this, Yuta's going to... That's the thing. We're already done with the Hakari scenario. We're 4 minutes and 26 seconds in this video. Explaining why Yuta beats down Kashimo should not be this long, or why Yuta beats down Charles. It should not take this long. But that aside, I think that's kind of whack. I'm gonna peep the comments. I don't know record this later. I'm gonna peep the comments because I feel like this is real. I mean, it's real Hakari hype and Ryu downplay and Uro downplay, not Kuro downplay. I mean, Kuro, whatever. I can sack Kuro. I could even sack Uro. I can't sack Ryu like this, dog. I cannot sack Ryu. The Kuro and Uro, I could sack that, but scaling wise, oh nah, I can't rock with it. Narratively, it makes sense. If Gege was writing it, this is probably how it would go. Because Gege needs Hakari to win. The heroes literally win every single colony. They have to win. But in a scenario, but then again, this is a what if. It's not really, I guess that's the thing. What if Hakari Yuta switch colonies? I'm more used to seeing this in the versus battle sense. He's seeing it purely from a narrative sense. So even if the scaling doesn't make any sense at all, it works for the narrative. Then again, half the fun of switching them is seeing who would lose in which colony or who would win in which colony because of the scaling. Like if the whole point is, oh, Hakari just wins and Yuta just wins because they need the points anyway, well, that's all boring. But let's see. My biases are getting to me. Let's see how he says Yuta and Rika give Kashimo front and back shots like they did Uro.
He was randomly teleported to where Hakari was at, and now there's just an angry Charles bound to attack him. With the switch though, Charles is just as confused, but he just assumes this is a part of some curse technique gimmick, or Hakari substituted himself like a Smash Bros or Mortal Kombat type of thing, so he just goes on with his attack. Now immediately, Charles is going to be in even bigger trouble against Yuta, because like we all know, despite Yuta and Hakari having a similar power level, Yuta has more lethality, in the sense that his abilities are more lethal. And to be more exact, bro just carries around a katana. So Charles, instead of having to deal with a base Hakari, only throwing kicks with his hands in his pockets, has to deal with a Yuta that has a sword. With Charles' first swing of his staff, Yuta is just gonna slice and break it. Like if Hakari, who's barely trying, is able to handle Charles' staff and isn't taking Charles as a lethal threat, or at least not extremely serious at the moment, Yuta, who's confused and probably looking to eliminate the threat as quickly as possible to figure out what just happened and get into context of his surroundings, is shutting Charles down easily. So Yuta would most definitely just break his staff with a katana swing, so this Charles won't even be able to activate his curse tech.
Yuta may unironically just kill Charles, even possibly by accident. Charles is fodder. And also, this is the Yuta before learning about the points rule, so he probably just literally kills Charles. I'm like, oh, sorry kid, sorry man, I gotta get these points. And you're a free 5 points and you don't have, Charles really has no value. I think he legit just straight up dies. But let's see.
Technique on Yuta. And Brody is just cooked at this point. If I'm being honest, whenever Hakari tees up because he realizes Charles has precog, Charles is saying, oh, he's fast. If I didn't activate my technique, I would have been gone. Yuta is about to do him as dirty as he did Choso post Shibuya. Yuta obviously won't kill him. They do what they gotta do. And Charles does end up explaining to Yuta that he seemed to swap with someone.
I love catching those repeats. I mean, I do it whenever I edit my videos too. Sometimes I'll repeat a clip accidentally, but it is always funny because I always my brain always glitches did I just hear that twice? It did in fact play twice. Let's see.
And Yuta questions him pretty in depth until eventually Yuta is pretty sure that the person Charles is talking about is Hakari. Yuta starts to look around trying to find someone from Jujutsu High as he fears the swap might be something greater to fear for. When in reality, I'm the one who swapped them to cook up this fire video for you guys.
You could have made a total win universe. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, W swap, it's narrative, it's not scaling. I mean, there's obviously clearly scaling. We just did Charles versus Yuta and how Yuta gives him back shots. I gotta stop saying back shots, bro. I gotta find another word. Back shots, front shots, side shots, vertical shots, horizontal shots. I gotta stop. I gotta find something else. But I'm still so sad about Ryu. Why was that 2 minutes? Why was that already half of the Ryu versus of the Sendai colony? What?
Search for someone else, Yuta senses someone very strong. He thinks it may be Hakari. He starts to rush, and from afar, he sees...
I don't think he would think it's Hakari. He knows what Hakari feels like, dog. Come on now.
He's someone with Panda's head. Yuta is furious. Someone bullied Panda to this point. Since Yuta is much closer to Panda than...
Panda deserved it. Oh, I never ended up covering the epilogue stuff for JJK. I was like, I don't really feel like it. I made the shorts on it, and I was like, that's it. I don't really feel like talking about it. But I still find it hilarious. And honestly, I'm less mad at Kashimo now, if only for the fact that he made Panda suffer for the rest of his days. Panda's now stuck in a useless body, and Yuta didn't even care enough to help him. That's beautiful. I love that. Perfect ending for Panda Gege. Let's see.
And Hakari was, he has even more of a reason to fight this person. As he arrives and crushes the containers around him, his opponent is now Hajime Kashimo. What's even more fire of this hypothetical is that they had kind of a little thing happen when Gojo was fighting Sukuna. And guys, I don't care what anyone says, that panel that I'm talking about is straight aura. Like,
That was, I'll admit, I do agree with Lumiere. That was an aura off right there. That was aura for aura, band for band. That was 100%. That was max aura. They call it Lucario in Super Smash Bros. Dog. That was max aura. They were flexing their energy. Like, obviously, especially Shinjuku Yuta does give Kashimo a literal back. I can make arguments for NBA Kashimo, but like, they involve him holding Hollow Worker Basket and kicking Yuta to death and blitzing around Rika to make sure he doesn't die there. But like, there are so many different ways that Shinjuku Yuta beats the brakes off of Kashimo, especially considering Kashimo wouldn't use his curse technique in Canada anyway. Like, base Kashimo versus Shinjuku Yuta, oh, it's a violation. But that aside, it is a crazy aura for aura moment. I agree with that for Lumiere. Let's see.
Like, Kashimo and Yuta had a little face-off, and it just looked so cool. That's that elite JJK aura that very few series can have. Now, with Yuta and Kashimo facing off, this is going to be much more complicated for both fighters, and I have to...
Is it though? Is it? Am I insane? Am I insane? I would have thought Sendai would be the infinitely more complicated thing here. Literally, my main question is, Yuta domains around... Especially because this is a bloodlusted Yuta. This is like, for all intents and purposes, Hakari, he was still playful and chilling with Kashimo. So like, it's like he didn't care. And he also needed Kashimo's points. But like, in what universe does Yuta see Panda's head on a stick and not immediately domain? He probably wouldn't even care if Kashimo did have a counter domain, but we know Kashimo doesn't. And sure, Yuta's only technique in his domain at this point would legit just be Curse Speech. But that don't matter. It'd still be a unmanifested Rika, domain empty Yuta, with a Curse Speech on, meaning Kashimo initially has to hold Hollow Worker Basket, and then needs to try to kick Yuta to death in base. He loses instantly. Like, I don't know. Once again, I don't know how complicated he thinks this is. This is great. I mean, unless he's probably going to do, let me guess, before we go into it, especially based on the Hakari section. If we're glazing Hakari to the moon and back, he's just beating down Ryu, he's just beating down Uro. He's probably going to say Kashimo's way bulkier than Ryu, way bulkier than Uro, even though the narrative contradicts that heavily. But regardless, he's going to say Kashimo's way bulkier than both. Yuta can't do much damage, even with his sword, because Kashimo has his staff, and they'll clash and beat around, and Rika won't come out immediately, Yuta won't domain immediately for the sake of the plot, and Kashimo gets a bolt off, and then Yuta's forced to domain, or then Yuta's forced to summon Rika, and bada bing, bada boom. Like, that's the thing. This is not complicated. This is, I don't know. But let's see why Lumiere says it's complicated.
To approach explaining this fight differently, because there are a lot of factors in play here. First of all, Kashimo, like Charles, will have more worries against Yuta because of what I mentioned earlier, which is the lethality aspect of Yuta. When Kashimo's fighting Hakari, the only thing he had to worry about is not getting tired out by him, because Hakari at a high level doesn't have the capabilities to finish a fight like Yuta does.
But see, then why do you think he finishes Ryu and Uro so easily? You can't have Lumiere, you must not like Ryu and Uro, dog. Because you can't say Hakari doesn't have the ability to finish a fight easily. You cannot pull up the fact that he did no damage to Urame and no damage to Kashimo. You can't do that. And then not 3 minutes ago explain how somehow Jackpot Hakari beats the brakes off of Uro and Ryu simultaneously. You can't have both. You can't say Hakari's non-lethal and then have him be super lethal and deadly against two of the bulkiest characters in the series. Or at least one of the bulkiest characters in the series, and Uro, who's also a sleeper bulky character. You can't have both. I can't. Nah. The editing so far. I still like the storyline presentation. Lumiere, I gotta check the comments on this. This is crazy. But let's see.
Yuta can hurt you very badly, even if you are on his level. Now, I think they would kind of feel each other out, because Kashimo isn't stupid. He's gonna realize that Yuta is a high-level sorcerer.
But it don't matter, because Yuta's insta-domaining. He's like, this would be one of the rare occasions where we'd probably see bloodlusted Yuta. Like he's probably turned straight into JJK0 Yuta, sliding the ring on instantaneously, domaining, and violating Kashimo. None of Kashimo's stats matter if he's forced to hold Hollow Worker Basket the entire time and get diffed by unmanifested Rika and Yuta. None of that matters! Like, come on now, Lumiere. He's testing him out. It don't matter. He's never getting that bolt off because Rika and Yuta are both tweaking. Maybe not Rika, but Yuta's definitely tweaking and immediately opening domain. But once again, we gotta make the fight more narratively interesting. I gotta make this video 50 minutes. Let's see.
And Brody has a sword, so he's not gonna want to get in and do hand-to-hand combat too much.
But then what is he gonna do? Kashimo has no range. What? Wait. Okay. I'm sorry. I keep pausing. I keep pausing way too much. I told you I like the yap. But what? That's Kashimo's only thing. That's his only thing in base. It's getting in your face and trying to get bolts off. What do you mean he's not gonna try and get close to do hand-to-hand? That's his only option. What, is he gonna just explode his curse energy amount and do no damage to Yuta? Let's see.
Yuta will give him some swings and miss, and Kashimo will land some hits hand-to-hand, but nothing major. Yuta's gonna...
Okay, am I crazy? Kashimo's not gonna do hand-to-hand. Yuta go... Well, then I guess he says Yuta goes in. And then Kashimo does hand-to-hand anyway, because that's all he can do. Like, okay, let's see. And, okay, so we're getting to the scenario where Kashimo gets the bolts off. I think Bloodless Yuta insta-domains, but gotta have a more interesting narrative here. And Kashimo is the more popular character. Out of these Sendai and Tokyo Trio, or Tokyo Duo, Kashimo is the most popular, so I guess it makes sense he gets the longest section. But I think, comparatively, this is just it's such a vicious diff that I don't think it really deserves that much elaboration.
Be able to block most of them. Kashimo starts charging up and releases a lightning.
Did you say Yuta wouldn't be able to block most of them?
And miss, and Kashimo will land some hits hand-to-hand, but nothing major. Yuta's gonna be able to block most of them. Kashimo starts charging up and releases a lightning strike. Yuta, in time, is able to react and put his sword in the way, and it just pulverizes his blade. As soon as that strike made contact, Kashimo has eliminated the threat of a blade. So he goes in for...
Here's the thing, though. I think the bolt will go straight through the weapon. Like, we see bolts can tear through things. Because remember, the charges wouldn't be on the sword, they'd be on Yuta. I think the bolt would tear straight through the blade and then go into Yuta and do lethal damage to him. But it looks like we're getting to domain, so there we go. Let's see.
One of his specialties, which is hand-to-hand combat. And here's where Yuta pulls out Rika, and we get a classic case of Jujutsu Kaisen jumping. Even though Kashimo seemed to have the upper hand, now he's getting jumped. Kashimo's had enough time to charge up another strike, and Yuta doesn't have anything to defend himself with. Rika tries...
He has Rika. And how, once again, if he's being told me, like, how are we doing this? How are we, Lumiere. On the story, I get it for the sake of, I almost said Kikaku, that's plan. All for the sake of this plot here, but Kashimo, if he's getting jumped, especially he showed fully better as Rika, if he's getting jumped by full power Yuta and full power Rika at the same time, he's not getting a bolt off. Wait, I forgot. Oh no, I'm 45 minutes deep. Where are you? Where are you? My beads of absolution, you're all the way over there. I'm here. But there's no universe where Kashimo's getting another bolt off with Rika and Yuta jumping him at the same time. How? Like, unless you go with my idea that if you hit Kashimo, you're actually placing charges on yourself as well, there's no way that's happening. No way that's happening. And on top of that, Rika would defend. And she'd take the damage. I mean, you could argue it could go through her, maybe. But, like, even then, it probably wouldn't because of how bulky she is. And then, boom, Yuta's fine. And why hasn't he domained yet? But let's see.
Tries to take the strike for him, but she's too late. Kashimo's lightning was too quick, and Yuta's arm gets hit. Usually, this is Kashimo's indication to pile on attacks and win the fight, but Rika just grabs him by the legs and swoops him from underneath, causing him to fall and try to escape Rika's grip. Even though it's taxing on Yuta, he's able to regenerate his arm, just like he was able to heal Maki's limbs in Volume 0. Since he's one of the best reverse curse technique users, this is expected from him. Yuta realizes it's not smart for him to take any more lightning strikes, because healing something back is extremely taxing on his curse energy, so he's determined to stop Kashimo.
Actually, unironically, he just mentioned Rika grabs him. Can Kashimo even break out of Rika's grip? Be real with me. Can he? If Rika just holds Kashimo and then takes him into the water, what does Kashimo do? Does he just die? I think he straight up just dies. He would have to burst his curse energy again. He would have to do what he did against Hakari and then be left with no curse energy and then get bodied by regenerated Rika and Yuta. That's how bad, like, that. This is a horrific matchup for base Kashimo. What on earth? Like, I don't know. And maybe this is the, oh no, my Yuta yuckerness. It's coming out. My Okotsu. What is an O word for glazing? I have no idea what an O word for glazing is. I don't know how to say Okotsu. But regardless, I don't know. Like, this would be, like, this is a violation. And I know it's a much weaker Yuta than Shinjuku Yuta because he has way less of a bag. But this is also a much weaker Kashimo because he doesn't use his curse technique. It's like, I I don't know. I don't see this as being this complicated. But let's see. We still have so much video left, too.
As fast as possible. Yuta goes and summons his domain. Kashimo quickly puts up Hollow Wicker Basket, which doesn't matter much, because now Brody is in the domain getting jumped by Rika, and Yuta spamming Thin Icebreaker. And to be honest,
Okay, Lumiere, what is this video, dog? what is this video? How is he spamming Thin Icebreaker? So are we using Shinjuku? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, you've lost me. Lumiere, the plot is gone. The plot, what? What? Let me give him. I'm gonna give him 10 seconds to correct himself, because Yuta doesn't have that icebreaker. The only thing he'd have is current speech. But let me let him cook. Let me cook. Let me see.
At this point, Kashimo is just getting overwhelmed. Rika is getting her hits in. Yuta is now domain amped, spamming techniques, and slashing Kashimo with swords. And Kashimo, from what we've seen, doesn't have reverse curse tech.
Okay, yeah, we've lost the plot. Lumiere, I gotta see the comment section on this video, though. I'm so tempted to scroll down right now, but I want to get through the live reaction. I mean, you have to give it too long. But come on now, Lumiere. Are we using the Shinjuku versions of the characters? Are we not? Are we following consistent scaling and character writing for the characters? Or are we not? Did Yuta run through Sendai Colony in this timeline too and then got sent back in time to fight Kashimo? Or did they not? Like, what is this? I don't know. I feel like have I lost the plot? Am I insane? How does Yuta have Thin Icebreaker and multiple techniques? He wouldn't have fought anybody. He wouldn't have Drew's technique. He wouldn't have Uro's technique. He wouldn't have Angel's technique. He wouldn't have no other technique other than her speech at this point in the timeline. And Kashimo died. He's dead anyway. He's literally been dragged into the water by this point. But regardless, yeah, but I don't know, dog. I don't know, dog. This is not it. Let's see.
Technique. Aside from maybe having some sort of healing that he gets from using his curse technique, which even against Yuta, I don't think he'd use it at all. He's pretty determined to use it on Sukuna only. Like, he's waited hundreds of years to use it on Sukuna. He's definitely not going to be using it on Yuta anytime soon. Kashimo at this point has been basically worn down to a concession. A brutal beatdown from Yuta's domain and his classical jump in with Rika. Yuta, like the kind character he is obviously, doesn't go in for a kill, but starts negotiating for Kashimo to try.
In my opinion, Bloodless Yuta would absolutely murder Kashimo, but that's just me, though.
Transfer the points. But despite his kind character, he deep down can turn into a monster. Even though he's being nice to Kashimo in the moment, he implies that he will kill Kashimo if he's not willing to give over his points. They basically do a deal similar to Hakari's. Basically, Kashimo gave Yuta his points, and in turn, Yuta promises Kashimo that he's gonna be able to get some licks in on Sukuna. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise that both Yuta and Hakari were able to defeat the people the other person fights. Originally,
It is a genuine surprise to me that Hakari was able to clear Sendai. Now I'm going to react to some more of these videos, because I've only watched a couple, and they've always said Hakari either loses or wins by attrition, but it was just a blatant Hakari beatdown, so let's see.
Guys are of the same caliber, and they possess elite skill. And it almost seemed like they were also perfect counters for their counterpart's opponent. And obviously, since Yuta and Hakari shared the same goal.
No. Like I said, once again, maybe I'm insane. Maybe I need to genuinely lift off from Ryu's meat. But Hakari has a horrific matchup in Sendai on every level. Especially if he starts in base. If he does, like, I'll be honest with you. I'll be real honest with you. Let me tell you something real. I was hiding it earlier, but since we're late in the video, I'm not sure how many people are here. I'm gonna talk about it straight up. Base Hakari does not beat Kuro. There's no universe where base Hakari beats Kuro. No universe. That cockroach swarm kills Hakari immediately. Kills him and all the innocent people. He dies immediately. Yeah, I said it. And you know I'm right. Base Hakari? If he doesn't get Jackpot up against Drew, he's cooked. Viciously. Horrifically. Base Hakari's fodder. He loses to Kuro. Then he doesn't beat Uro, and he doesn't beat Ryu, because he cannot reach either of them. And by reach, I mean he literally can't reach Uro in the sky, who can come down and pepper him whenever she wants. And he definitely doesn't beat Ryu, who he literally can't damage, because he's killing his butt. As he brings up himself in the video, Hakari has no lethality. He doesn't even have any AP. He sucks. He's a pillow puncher. The only guy he defeats traditionally with, like, damage is Charles. Lumiere, I can't give this one to you, dog. I can't give this one to you, dog. No. No, 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 no. Horrific match for Hakari. Though I do agree, Yuta gives base Kashimo, back shots. Even a Yuta, who shouldn't have scar manipulation or any other techniques at this point, he definitely just gives base Kashimo back shots. That's undeniable. Like, even as one of the bigger Kashimo creamers out there, whenever I feel like it, I'm also one of his biggest haters sometimes. It really depends on my mood. Back shots. You need NBA for him to stand a dream of a chance. And then you have to do some weird hypothetical scaling for NBA too. So Lumiere. But let's see. Well, I'm gonna let it rock.
So far, nothing in the narrative changes too much from how it originally goes. Aside from that, it's just hella fire to be able to envision these new matchups that we've gone over in the video so far. But I have one more element I'd like to throw in for you guys. Okay. You guys are the GOATs, and y'all...
I was wondering why this video was long. Let's see.
Deserve it. So because I decided to add the element of the fact that Hakari and Yuta are aware they were teleported, this was alarming for them. So they basically make it a priority to meet up with everyone again. Now I'm going to be 100% transparent with you guys. I couldn't locate exactly where Maki and Yuji were in this fight that we're about to talk about. So I wish I could give you guys a little bit of information on how everyone else ends up with them, but I just couldn't. So for the sake of this segment, let's just assume Yuta and Hakari pull up on Yuji when Sukuna has taken over Megami's body and they are fighting. But since Kashimo is an ally now and he's rolling with Yuta, his eyes light up at the sight of Sukuna. Kashimo starts speeding up, but Yuta quickly stops him and realizes that Sukuna is obviously in Megami's body now and tells Kashimo Sukuna is off limits for the moment until they figure out what's happening. Regardless, he tells them they should help Yuji and try to beat up Sukuna without killing him. They start rushing Sukuna, but Sukuna knows his output is low, and oh my god, I could just imagine Sukuna talking about if Megami wasn't holding him back, he'd brutally kill every single one of them and then just eat them. Like, he's probably so mad he can't be a smoke demon, all because of Megami's fault. Then
I think, here's the thing. You know what the funny thing is? Unironically, the Arame parents probably save Sukuna again. Unironically, because Maki's not going to use SSK. We see that she doesn't, because she's worried about Megami and his soul density, which we found out is super duper bulky anyway, but she doesn't know that. Yuji has no idea how to save Megami at this point. He has no idea to rid him of Sukuna. Hana's probably been bitten and eaten at this point, at least by the time he's talking about it. So that is off the table for Jacob's Ladder. And then what else? I mean, maybe Yuta, while everyone else is jumping Maki or jumping Sukuna and holding him in place, maybe Yuta can run over to Hana, stitch her arm back together, because we know at that point, the guy with the sugar curse technique, he caught Hana. So maybe her arm is still there, and Yuta, if he arrives quick enough, he can heal her arm back together, and then she gets back up, then she Jacob's Ladder Sukuna again, and then he loses. So this typically could be an early end. But the only reason I'm so hesitant about this happening is because Hakari would have to get somehow all the way here from Sendai. I mean somehow. I have no idea how to get here. And I think Kashimo and Hakari, or Kashimo and Yuta in this timeline, would be in different colonies, and the rule to move colonies was added by Yorozu, like 5 seconds before the swap happens. So, like, they wouldn't be here in actuality, but this is actually a fun video concept. I may do Nerf Sukuna versus a soft Shinjuku raid cast, because they probably do still kill him. And the only thing is, Arame would come in, and if Arame's able to tag post Sakurajima Maki, she probably tags everyone and Sukuna flies away on Nue, because none of them are catching him. Yuta can't fly at this point because he doesn't have sky manipulation in this timeline. They could maybe send Rika, but then again, Nue may be... Gargantuan Nue may be faster than Rika, and Rika probably be slowed down by Arame firing ice out at them. And then Yuji can't fly, Maki would be frozen, Hakari can't fly, Kashimo can't fly. So, like, there's still a very likely timeline where Urume just comes and diffs them all, and then they escape. Anyway, let's see.
He pulls up with hella aura. Now Sukuna's even angrier. They're about to do a warm-up Shinjuku battle on this man. Sukuna is desperately running away from these guys because maybe individually he could still take them out, but all of them while he's nerfed? Yeah, no buddy, you are definitely cooked. Sukuna is getting ragdolled by almost everyone, and low-key, our main cast is wildin'. They might end the series here. But Kenjaku pulls up, surrounding the whole place with curses. Urame on timing, trying to freeze everyone, and our main cast takes a step back. Unfortunately, Sukuna got out of their grip.
Okay, I mean, Kenjaku pulling up with that is another aura off. That would be insane aura. But I think it's mainly just Arame, because I think Arame gets dropped off, right? Kenny doesn't actually pull up there, I don't think. I think Kenny was on the way to do something, and then he drops Arame off. So maybe he does stick around when he sees Sukuna getting jumped to oblivion. He's like, wait, you're my contingency plan, and then he drops him with a million curses. Let's see.
And he was able to fly off with Kenjaku and Urame in preparation to get his strength back. Our squad isn't too stressed though. They're confident in Gojo, and they just regroup with everyone else and focus on getting Gojo unsealed. Even with that classical jumping that they did on Sukuna, I don't think much else changes. Like, maybe Sukuna's gonna have some more dialogue being worried that even if he wins, afterwards it's still gonna be a tough battle. Because he's gonna be, you know, probably not in optimal conditions, even though he could just transform. But it's definitely gonna be something weighing on his mind, way more since he actually saw them trying to jump him than it actually was originally in the series. Some other things that may happen is we may get better chemistry between Kashimo and the other characters. Like, he might be more willing to work in a team, but even with all of those minor changes,
unironically, I think Kashimo would actually still try to kill Sukuna. In this timeline, he does not care what Yuta says to him. He would not. Because remember, he was willing to fight Yuta during Shinjuku originally. So Kashimo would be like, oh, that's Sukuna. But you want me to not kill him? Do you know who I am? Instantly pops NBA, blitzes, and kills Sukuna. He doesn't care about Megami. He literally encourages Gojo to forget about Megami and just kill him outright. So, like, especially a Kashimo who hasn't had a month to get, like, endeared to these people, even slightly, and especially a Kashimo who probably didn't have nearly as fun as a fight as he did against Hakari, where he was, like, actually passionate for the fight. He's popping NBA and murdering just he's violating a super nerf Sukuna. NBA guy Kashimo violates that one, but let's see. Then again, what may end up happening, unironically, Sukuna may open domain, and even like a heavily nerfed domain would probably slow them down a whole lot. But let's see.
Everything does basically end up the same. Like, nothing is gonna drastically change the trajectory of the story. It's not gonna change how Sukuna and Gojo end up fighting. It's not gonna change any major character arcs. But what was interesting is kind of seeing the different matchups. And I think a lot of people have kind of given their own takes. Like, you'll see every once in a while, and I've even made a video on it, of putting different people into culling games, and even switching them. And I just thought that topic was always unique, because of the different matchups that it generates. I like to see how people kind of think of how it will end up if, like, X character switches with X character, or if this person was in the culling games. I always thought it was a very fun topic. This was my first what if, and this is pretty different than, like, a versus battle, because usually I just give the scaling, like, okay, boom, here are the abilities, here's how they match up, you know, this is how the fight would go. But in this what if, I had to kind of do that at the same time, but also give it a story element, like, kind of actually break down the fight, the little dialogue, the little moment.
But Lumiere, that's the thing, I like the story, and especially like the extra part with them all jumping Sukuna to oblivion, but Lumiere, the scaling, oh, that bothers me. The scaling and the inconsistencies on Yuta's domain and his ability set in this timeline both bother me. Because, like, the thing about what ifs, and the thing that makes them so fun, and even difficult to write, like, even as a person who, like, I'm still currently wrapping up, and I basically finished the What If Elizabeth Betrayed the Goddess Clan. That's just really annoying to edit, because it's trapped in a 3,000 year past time skip, or 3,000 year pre-time skip, and thusly it's really annoying to, like, find images for, and have to, like, draw a whole bunch of it myself for certain interactions and certain things that will be original to that series. And for the What If Midoriya was confident, the big thing that's fun about working in the what if scenario is working within the constraints provided by it. So, like, when you gave Yuta sky manipulation, I'm like, what? And you gave Hakari random ability, like releasing RCT, I'm like, what? Like that's the thing. It bothers me if solely for the fact that, like, if that feels like against the what if style. And also, I just don't like the scaling argument you made. Especially considering I don't think the scaling was that good. I don't know. But we got a cool end scenario, so I do like that. But still, I'm gonna have to peep the comment sections, bro. But let's see.
And it was pretty fun. So if you guys want to see more things like this, just make sure to show support, show love, and I'll keep on making stuff like this.
Now,
something that I kind of forgot to add was I put in this whole element of that they were aware that they were switched, and I kind of made Yuta and Hakari both worry about it. But I never gave in the video, like, actual conclusion to what, in the sense that, like, they never talked about it anymore. They were just worried about it, and then when they regrouped with everyone else, they just forgot about it. And I kind of thought of this up, and I was like, okay, well, this makes sense. So, since I had basically said, okay, well, you know, there's not an actual reason, it's just me, like, I just manipulated the narrative, then I'm just gonna say, right, I think they would just say that it was, like, glitch of the culling games itself.
Oh, that's
like, you
cool
know how
thing.
they spawn in, like, it's like a Fortnite battle bus, and they just drop into the colony? And then I think they just probably came to the conclusion that, okay, well, we probably just, like, glitched out, like, the system was messed up or something, and we just, like,
I'm gonna use that whenever I do my first spell. I'm actually gonna include that. I'm gonna say the Culling Games is coded poorly, coded like garbage. So thusly, some characters end up switching their places. The only thing is, I probably wouldn't work on Maki because she's immune to barriers, but I'll find a way to make Maki move. We'll see.
Switched places, but I don't think they would actually think much of it, especially if they're just trying to get Gojo unsealed. They'll probably just move on as long as they don't see anything else weird. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick like kind of like, you know, tie that up and not leave something like open-ended or like forget about something. But yeah, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Drop a comment letting me know what y'all thought about the video. It's the first time I do something like this, so I'd like to know what you guys thought about it. And if you guys ever have a video idea, drop that in the comments too. If I do the video that you suggested, you will be shouted out in that video. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for...
Because once again, I love Lumiere's editing. I do love his storytelling style, and I love how hyped he gets when he does it. So it's still a W video, but I'm not the biggest fan of the scaling. I'm not the biggest fan of the abilities. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of the aspects. I really like the end part though, where they all jump Sukuna. Even though I have my own weird inconsistencies with that, but overall, it's still a W fun video. That's the thing. Clearly, these videos are all for fun. Like, oh no, the man didn't get the scaling right in this fictional series. Oh wow, like he's right though. One way or another, Gege would write it so that Hakari and Yuta win, because they have to win. Like duh, it doesn't matter. Especially if we're not going by a versus battle perspective, we're going by a story perspective. Narratively, our heroes have to win. It's a law of nature. So probably would go this way. He's not wrong about that. The only thing is like the genuine inconsistent with like, the sky manipulation stuff, but overall, still a W video. If you made it all the way to the end of this chunker of a video, though, please do me a favor, leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave full power Hakari. That's what this truly was. Leave full power Hakari in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. So leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you use more me for as low as $1 things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions, you have this year's item to review, I have variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 Patreon or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You drop 5 beans for a short video, 20 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Greyhound, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier, XZ, G Prosper, Zeta, and Brandon Payne. Then I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, and A+A. And then I'd like to give a huge thank you to our ink tier members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Euchiha, Yuki Ally, and Carlo Alaimo. Then I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our digital art tier members, J Warrior and AZ Void. Then I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our colored art tier patron, Waki Minoz, and Idemokami. Then I'd like to give a final legendary top of the line thank you to our That Guy with a Pencil tier patron, the glorious king, Calvin Elder.